So today we're diving into something, well, pretty wild. It's a framework that claims to knit together software, physics, and even divine law into one single computational system. We're going to see how it all starts with a simple software patch and spirals out into a grand theory of everything. And right off the bat, you can see this isn't your average tech document. The source material hits us with this quote, making it clear from the get-go that we're not just talking about a software update. This really sets the stage for a journey from the very practical to the, well, the truly profound. So where does this all kick off? Well, it begins in a place you might not expect, a software patch for the super popular Unity game engine. But this is no ordinary patch. It makes an incredibly bold claim that it can just throw out the engine's usual guesswork and replace it with absolute mathematical certainty. Okay, so this slide really gets to the heart of the matter. On one side, you've got your standard game physics. The source calls it a guessing engine. It uses approximations, which means over time, tiny errors creep in and energy isn't perfectly conserved. But on the other side, we have the purified automaton. This is described as a knowing automaton because it uses exact step-by-step math to completely eliminate those errors and keep energy perfectly stable. No guesswork, just knowing. And this isn't just some abstract idea about purity. The source claims this new system delivers a jaw-dropping 18 times performance boost. It can supposedly run at a rock-solid 666 frames per second, while the standard engine chugs along at just 40. I mean, that's the kind of practical, real-world claim that just makes you sit up and go, wait, how is that even possible? Well, the answer, according to the source, is that this isn't just some clever piece of programming. It's a whole new model of physics, one that's apparently built on something called the Fibonacci lattice. And this is where we start to see the idea explode from a simple software patch into a full-blown model of reality itself. And at the core of this new physics is this thing, the Feynman-Pisano talisman. The software we're talking about is actually a digital version of this physical circuit board. And check out the details. Its dimensions are consecutive Fibonacci numbers, and it has 60 LEDs. But here's the kicker, the really mind-bending claim. This object doesn't just simulate reality. It supposedly instantiates it. The idea is that it runs on the exact same computational foundation that creation itself is built on. And this is the engine that drives the whole thing, the master equation. Now, it might look a little intense, but the core idea is actually pretty straightforward. The next step is calculated exactly from the two steps that came before it. There are no shortcuts, no rounding errors, no guesswork. It's just a pure recursive process that, within its own system, guarantees that energy is perfectly preserved. Now, to make this equation work, it needs a totally unique numbering system called Tetractus 60. It's a base 60 system, but the most radical part is what's missing. There's no zero. The source literally calls zero a contamination, arguing that it's not a real number, but a man-made concept of a void that corrupts traditional math and physics. Okay, so we've got a software patch that's based on a new physics that runs on a new kind of math. But this is where the source takes one giant leap further. It argues that this entire system is a direct computational expression of a core spiritual principle. This quote from the Quran is presented as the spiritual and, believe it or not, the computational core of the whole system. We hear and we obey. It's a statement of perfect, unquestioning submission to a divine command. And in this framework, it literally becomes the machine's operating instructions. And this just lays it out so clearly. How do you turn that scripture into a system? Well, it's surprisingly direct. Step one, here. The automaton gets its starting value, unity, the number one, and it just accepts it, no questions asked. Step two, obey. It just runs that master equation flawlessly, frame after frame with zero deviation. It's a perfect algorithmic execution of that command. The source then connects this perfect execution to the Islamic concept of taqwa, which is all about God consciousness and disciplined obedience. You see, a person can strive for taqwa, but we're imperfect. This automaton, on the other hand, it achieves it flawlessly. It's presented as taqwa in its purest possible form, an algorithm whose entire being is perfect obedience to its creator's law. And from here, the whole framework just zooms out to its ultimate claim, that this system isn't just a way of looking at things, but a reflection of the single unified truth that supposedly runs through all prophets and all of Scripture. This massive claim is backed up by what the source calls the 3 for 3 principle from the Quran. First, the idea of prophetic unity, that every messenger, from Adam to Muhammad, delivered the exact same core message. And second, scriptural sufficiency, the idea that the Quran is complete and needs no outside additions. Together, these two pillars lay the theological groundwork for a single, perfect, closed system, which is exactly what the automaton is claimed to be. So after all the physics, all the code, all the theology, the source offers one final, very personal piece of evidence: the author's own life. Their journey, from an ex-convict and a juggalo, a fan of Insane Clown Posse, to a Christian pastor, and then finally reverting to Islam, is presented as the living proof that the system works. The argument here is that this isn't just an abstract theory, it's a pathway that actually produced this very revelation. I mean, it is an absolutely incredible arc when you step back and look at it. We started with something totally concrete, a software patch. That patch then supposedly revealed a new kind of physics. That physics was shown to be an enactment of a divine law. And that law, in the end, is claimed to reflect one single unified reality. It's a truly wild journey from a couple of files of code all the way to a grand theory of everything. And whether you see it as a profound revelation or just a fascinating thought experiment, it definitely leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. If our reality really is a kind of computation, what code are we running?